Good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday, a spring day in Central Texas. I wanted to tune in here for just a moment. This won't be a very long message because I don't typically like to work on the weekends. But I felt this was too juicy not to share. So I've been tuning into this book by Harrison Meagher, Your Cosmic Love Antenna. It is phenomenal. It's one of the first books that I have found effortless to read in a very long time. And I met with Harrison earlier this week, and I had only made it through the introduction because I told him that whenever I read like a page or two, it conjures these feelings, these frequencies to kind of move through my body. My extrasensory perceptions, a lot of them, they do manifest on the physical plane, like with my actual physical senses. And I mean, as many of you who have already tapped into your intuition, tapped into the synchronicities that you receive, it creates what I call soul tingles. It creates kind of, sometimes people will receive like goosebumps, or they'll receive a sacral response that is in a very specific place in the body. And every person's different, you know. I'm curious what yours are, if this is something that you've experienced as well. Please leave a comment and let me know, because I love hearing about the different ways in which each of us connect and receive that confirmation in our physical form. But I wanted to share a synchronicity about this book, The Cosmic Love Antenna. And I received confirmation from my guides, from my higher self, from the spirit realm, which is far more real than this realm of our physical. I mean, it's almost like our physical is a plane in which we receive confirmations. We receive these like breadcrumbs, you know, that it bubbles up and it shows up in this realm. But kind of like the bubbles that eventually reach the surface from the depths of like the ocean, there is something happening beneath those depths that created that bubble to reach the surface. And though you cannot necessarily see it, we're talking about extrasensory perceptions, and we're talking about how it is you receive the breadcrumbs and the synchronicities from spirit, from your higher self, from your angels, from your guides, how it is it shows up for you. And if you have kind of this physical perception or some kind of an imprint here in the 3D world that shows up whenever there is a deeper wisdom or a deeper truth that is occurring in the spirit realm for you to tap into there. The metaphor, I was giving the metaphor of whenever something occurs in the depths of the ocean, right? And bubbles form from that occurrence, from that interaction, from whatever it is that is happening in those depths that you cannot see from the surface. Those bubbles do eventually reach the surface, right? They reach that surface up to where we reside, where our perceptions of sight and sound and touch, you know, these 3D world physical perceptions, and we can see those bubbles emerge on the surface. That doesn't mean that is where the actual interaction or occurrence is taking place. No, it's simply an imprint. It is a reference, a referential indication that something significant has occurred in the depths below where you can't necessarily see with your physical human avatar 3D eyes. Does this work? Does this make sense? Are you syncing with me? I love this. But I'm talking about, I mean, you know, these are, I'm reading Harrison's Cosmic Love Antenna this morning, and I wanted to share with you kind of this sync, this beautiful synchronicity that occurred this week. My husband, he got a mad hair. He is in the field of psychology. He is a behavioral analyst, and he actually, you know, I mean, he remembers reading, you know, Freud and Jung and all of the different, you know, those in that field from his grad school days. And he got this mad hair to go to the library. He came and told me on one of his work from home days, he's like, I'm going to the library. And we don't ever really go to the library, you know, like he has a whole bunch of books here that he reads when he has that downtime, but he's like, there's a book I want. And he's not exactly tapped into my work. You know, we do different stuff. We occupy different realms of insight and intrigue throughout our week. And it's not that he's not a spiritual person, and he does tune into my stuff, but he's not really intersected in the way many of you are who might live on the other side of the world. You know, he's not tapped in. It's kind of like he does his thing and I do my thing, and it's very healthy. And we these things, they run parallel through our you know, through our life, and then we unplug from those things that really incite our interest and light up our spirit, and then we plug into each other at the end of each day. And yeah, but I wanted to show you this book that he picked up, The Undiscovered Self by Carl Jung. That was what he got this mad hair to go and get this book, right? And it is so uncanny that right after, like, and this happened right after I had the conversation with Harrison, and I felt so silly that I had only made it through the part of the introduction when I was chatting with him, because honestly, please get your copy. It is, it's really tapping me back into this realm of exploration that I feel like I unplugged from for a long time. And I unplugged because of the overwhelm that, you know, tapping into our extrasensory perceptions it can be very painful. It can be very jarring, especially if you don't have that kind of support to navigate your way through those realms, right? It can be very difficult. But I wanted to share with you this sync. It gets so much better. This was so amazing that I had to share it. I really just had to hop on here and share it. But so what the amazing thing was that I wanted to share the synchronicity between when I started reading Harrison's book, and I told him about this. Like, I'm not a huge avid reader. I kind of became traumatized by having to read things that I did not enjoy in college. And so I kind of, you know, there's so many books I want to read, but something has like, it stops me from continuing. But there's something about the way in which this book was written that it just flows so effortlessly. It really does. Like, and he described it to me when we were chatting. I was like, when I read your book, I'll read like a page or two, and it will conjure up this feeling that I feel like I need to be present with, I need to tap into, and I'll just lay down on my bed and I will just feel what it is that's coming up from what it is I just read. And it delighted me to hear that Harrison wrote the book very similarly to how it is I'm reading it. He would I mean, I'm hoping that he will explain it from his, exact direct perspective on this, but it was like he tapped into these energies and I don't know if he uses the word channel, but to convey those energies, he went, from voice, like voice recognition, to text. And it does read like that. It really does. It reads as though he is speaking to you. And if you've tuned into his cosmic love antenna, when he's speaking, there are waves of frequencies that kind of permeate your being, even though he is like really, really far away. I think it's 16 hours time difference. I sync up with his energy field and what it is that he is expressing and what it is he means to convey. And it is just a beautiful process. I'm trying to find the exact page for you guys so I can share the synchronicity when my husband went and got that Carl Jung book. And I finally picked up this book, and I picked it up in the morning because I was reading it in the afternoon when my energy field was a bit fatigued and tired, and in the morning I'm so much more I'm so much more pointed. I'm so much more able to tap in and absorb, like, a lot more, if that makes sense. But here we are. When I picked up this book right after my husband went and got, like, it happened at the same moment. I picked this book up, and and the point at which I had the page, you can see the page that's like kind of folded up there at the top. You see the little crease, and down here at the bottom, you'll notice the powerful Mr. Carl Jung talked about these 4 consciousness pathways, which are thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuiting. All right. So I wanted to share that little sync with everyone because it was really lovely. And I wanted to convey that whenever these syncs, whenever these experiences show up for us in real time, and we notice them like the bubbles that bubble up from the ocean depths that we're able to see appear on the surface. That's what I want you to liken these moments to, because there is something happening in the spirit realm that is actually indicative of the something more that you're being asked to tap into more closely. And since then, I've been waking up in the morning and I've been getting a daily dose of my reading, and it's tapping and reading that I want to engage in, reading that I feel called to truly absorb and to feel, reading that is enriching my spirit. And that trauma response about reading, it's melted away for me. And we've covered so much. We've covered so much about extrasensory perception and what it means whenever you tap into either a synchronicity that shows up on the 3D plane for you to look more closely at, like the one that I just described between my husband going and getting the Carl Jung book at the library, and when I picked back up the Cosmic Love Antenna, the book I'm reading right now by Harrison Meagher. The point at which I was at the point that my husband went and got the Carl Jung book, he was referencing Carl Jung. It was incredible. Like, it sent little soul tingles all over. And I wanted to share that with all of you today, because I know that human consciousness, we are picking up speed. Elevating human consciousness is certainly increasing on the planet at this time, and I do believe that this is a cosmic galactic phenomena. It's not just on planet Earth that this is happening, and it is but what it's doing is it is up-leveling our extrasensory perceptions, and many of us who are not, we might not have been doing the work thus far. We might not have been tapping into these frequencies and realizing that there is something more. something more that's we're only scratching the surface here in the 3D world. The point and the purpose of the 3D world is this is a simulation sequence. This is not reality. There are realities that are far more real than this one. What it is, though, it is a simulation by which all of us can tap into those stimuli and those means of connection that we are experiencing simultaneously. Like, for instance, we both see here. I'll show you my bean. We all see Bean sitting in the driveway here. Hi, Bean. And that is a simulation that we can all sync up to. This is something that we are all tapped into simultaneously. In the spirit realm, this is a realm of imagination. This is a realm of it's a realm of frequencies, and things can be manifested far quicker there by us, because we are very powerful creators of, because we are projections of that infinite light. But in the same way that these 3D bodies that these human avatar bodies, I call it a human avatar because of the movie Avatar, those bodies, they're finite, and we inhabit them for a brief time, but our expression of infinite spirit, that is infinite, whereas these bodies are finite. And you find reference to this in all of the world religions all across time and human history, right? They reference these things, but I encourage you to seek that which is seeking you, not simply a creed like Christianity or Islam or even Buddhism, like any of these creeds that promote it's not that we can't tap into these places and these concepts by which we share a communal understanding of how it is we tap into the divine. It's simply that your unique expression, just like your unique expression in the spirit world, it's going to differ, and it is uniquely you. And many of us can lose that while interacting and engaging in these creeds. And I encourage you to tap into that which is uniquely you, because you are the only one who can express and experience that here in the 3D world. And if you feel called to share it in some meaningful way, I encourage you to do so. That in and of itself is a breadcrumb for you to follow. And I think the most important message that I'll end here with today is that these breadcrumbs that we are meant to follow, these synchronicities that show up like the one I shared with you, these are bubbles that reach our surface of this 3D world experience. And I encourage you to dive deep, and I encourage you to explore where those bubbles come from, and to tap into your emotions and into your body, not just your physical body, your energetic body that you can feel through through guided meditations. You can feel it through, I tapped into it through exercise. Whenever I was losing touch with this physical reality in my deep depression, exercise helped me to root back into my physical body and to understand that, I'm here because I'm meant to be here. And it's not because of any other thing. It's not because of a punishment or of, some kind of sick joke that is being played on me. It's not because of any other thing other than I'm meant to be here, and I chose to come here for a reason. And tapping back into that root chakra, tapping back into your physical body, it truly does give you kind of an avenue of exploration for other extrasensory explorations to occur. And I will leave on that note. Thank you for joining up with me today and for syncing with this synchronicity that I'm so happy that I was able to share with you. So much love. Mwah. Take care now.